Welcome back. Well, I was enjoying that piece of music and I was actually moving to the beat of it. But let's come back to now. We're talking COVID-19 and fumigation as a response. Well, that's a new word in our vocabulary more. We tend to use it every day now. We don't talk about disinfecting anymore. We talk about fumigating. What does that mean? Well, you know, this pandemic is teaching us all kinds of words, is teaching us all kinds of things. So we shall learn the difference between disinfection and fumigation. And we have the right person in the studio to give us a small tutorial this morning. It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Oluwasegun Benson, and he's the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer at Fosgard Fumigants Nigeria Limited.
Thank you very much,
Good morning. And he's come along with the Public Relations Manager, Christine Anene. Good morning.
Good morning, Mom.
Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, fumigation, disinfection. What is the difference?
Okay, thank you very much. The difference is disinfection is actually the removal of pathogenic microorganisms from surfaces and inanimate objects using specific chemical agents, i.e. your hydroxide, sodium hypochlorides and all that. That's for disinfection. Now for fumigation, actually the word fumigation is coined from fumes, so which is the process of liquid state to gaseous state. So it's
to fumigate, you're not using liquids, you're using fumes.
Yes, because it's liquid, but it comes out in fumes.
Okay.
So it's just fumigation. Now, a lot of people overflog it. Fumigation is actually a method, one of the methods of pest control. Pest control has so many methods. So fumigation is just one. It's just, but a lot of people have, they're stuck to that word fumigation. You know, perhaps it's just the method. And it's the process of killing vermin in a given environment using a specific chemical, like your insecticide and all that. So it's targeted at rodents, rats, your vermin like that. Yeah, snakes. So that's the difference. So when a lot of people, they tend to overflog the word, and it's just one of the processes of pest control.
Okay. So fumigation is what has been going on since we came upon, since it came upon us, COVID-19.
No, you mean disinfection, actually. Disinfection is actually what is trending towards,
the one that you can do on your own, yes. You can disinfect on your own, but you can't fumigate on your own. Government is fumigating markets and places like that.
Yeah, yes. Okay, now let me take us back.
Please tell us, explain to us.
Exactly. We had a backlog. Just before the COVID pandemic, there was Lassa fever outbreak. So the government had set up process to carry out rodent baiting in markets.
To get rid of the rodents.
Yeah, to get rid of the rodents. Then, while that process was ongoing,
what do you call that?
Rodent baiting, baiting for rodents.
Okay.
You're baiting like, anyways.
Okay, all right.
I'm just trying to use the right word because everybody tends to use fumigation and all that,
Okay.
So I tend to want to use the right word so that everybody will understand.
Please do, after all, you're the professional. We expect you to use the right words.
Thank you. So that was already ongoing before the pandemic came. Then disinfection was the word. Then, in fact, the governor of Lagos State actually flagged off a disinfection exercise. Now, what that did was it actually calmed down the anxiety for what the public was, what was the control measure the government had in line. So that's when the disinfection came, it sort of like calmed anxieties down. Because people say, okay, what's our government doing to respond to this? So, you can imagine, let me give you an example. If an organization has anybody that has a COVID-19 case in their office, of course, there'll be anxiety, people coming back to work, and we're gradually heading to the second phase where offices will be fully opened. If you have a COVID case, workers will be a bit apprehensive, what's going on. But if the MD of that company has, carried out the disinfection process before resumption. Hey, the workers can come a bit more relaxed, not, they'll be more relaxed to work. They know that, okay, it's been disinfected. So psychologically, it plays a key role for companies to engage in disinfection exercise to sort of like calm the anxiety.
How often should that disinfection happen? Because fumigation happens like sometimes once in a month, sometimes twice in a quarter. How often should disinfection take place?
Well,
because you talked about taking out pathogens from any inanimate surface and all of that.
Okay.
So how often should disinfection take place?
Well, disinfection, you can disinfect daily if you want. You can do it weekly and you can do it monthly. It depends on it depends on the traffic of that, maybe the institution or the company. It depends on your traffic. So you can choose what fits you. But you can, now the reason why I would say you can disinfect daily is because your chemical agents you're using to disinfect allows you to carry out a daily exercise. But you cannot fumigate on a daily basis. You understand? Because of the residual effect for fumigation is prolonged. There's so much ion in the air. Because the pesticide, so you cannot fumigate that regularly, as in that frequently, sorry. But you can disinfect even on a daily basis.
So in a place like an eatery, for instance, the counter where you go to place your order, that you have to disinfect like almost every 30 minutes or every hour or something?
Okay, very good question. And people would say, it's going to be, how are we going to afford, how are we able to afford, are we going to start building up cost of disinfection into our budget, all those things. But I tell you what, there are cheaper options of actually disinfecting surfaces.
Please let us know.
Different. Like your typical domestic hypochlorites, in the right dilution, they can use to wipe surfaces. This is the pandemic era.
Normal bleach, for instance.
Exactly. And I tell people, this pandemic session, it's eating down into a lot of people's wallet, purses. There's no money. There's no point. What we need to do is to educate the public on the cheapest possible means to get out of a pandemic together. It's not about somebody trying to make money from a situation that everybody is dying. You understand? So your typical hypochlorite can actually do that job. So it takes you to reorientate your cleaners on how they can use certain, those hypochlorites to wipe surfaces and all that. Then now when you now go to industry, big industries, they too can use, industrial hypochlorite. Of course, they will have to put their money in their pocket and bring out something to do because they have bigger spaces and all of that. So they would have to do the real, the real industrial application. But for eateries and offices, you can actually carry out routine disinfection from your cleaners.
Okay.
Christine,
Yes, ma'am.
how much is this process helping in curbing the spread of coronavirus?
I would say it's helping a lot because, imagine if this process is not there at all. It's going to be life endangering. So I would say it's really helping a lot. And First Guard Fumigants, we've been trying our best to, really contribute to the solutions to the problem, which is COVID-19. So I would say it's really helping a lot.
How do you guys do that? How do you go about this? Because when we saw you around here, one time you came to do your disinfection, fumigation. We noticed you came in with 2 trucks.
Yeah.
But how long does that stay when you finish disinfecting? How do you go about it?
Actually, he's the technical person who knows about that.
Like I said, we talked about traffic. We talked about how frequent. The more the frequency of your disinfection is relative to your traffic. Do you understand? Say, for instance, if you have government is opening businesses in phases, so meaning staffs are reduced and all that, so you don't get a lot of traffic in a place. So once a week would suffice. And don't forget that once a surface is disinfected, that means, can I just even tell you something about the virus itself? If from the common knowledge that we all know about, it's known that it surrounds itself with fat. Yeah, it protects itself with fat. Now, part of the active ingredient in which we use to disinfect, caustic soda is part of the active ingredient. Now, caustic soda is also the active ingredient for soap, which we use to wash our hands. So it sort of makes sense that the soap will actually burn the fat, thereby getting to the virus. Do you understand? So we need to understand that. Going forward, it takes you, say, between 8 to 10 days. If you disinfect the surface, it would still be active on that surface. So even if you touch, you find that the virus cannot survive in surface that has been disinfected between that period of time.
Okay.
Just to answer your
So tell us about First Guard.
Okay, so once again, my name is Christina Nene, and I'm the Public Relations Manager for First Guard. So in First Guard, we are very concerned about our customers. We're very concerned about the satisfaction of our customers because, just like he said, we're a core pest control company, and we help to provide environmental solutions to communities. So in First Guard, just like I said earlier, we're very concerned about our customer satisfaction, and we also send feedback form. After the completion of every job, we make sure we send feedback form via email, and we do this to know about ways that we can improve on our services. So, also,
How old has First Guard been? When was
since
First Guard?
since 2005.
Since 2005.
Yes.
So is First Guard involved in the Lassa fumigation against Lassa fever and all of that
Yes,
as well?
yes, we were involved in it.
What was it? He didn't use fumigation.
No.
Pest.
The
ratting.
Baiting.
Yeah.
The
Rat
ratting.
baiting.
Rat baiting.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Rat baiting, because you can't. Just look at it. Let's just try to make sense out of it. You cannot use fumes to control rats. If, for instance, you spray any fume here, if there's any rat, the rat will run now. It's not going to wait to inhale the fume and die. So those are wrong terminologies. So you bait for rats, or you trap them, you bait for rats. And see, now, if I can just 2 minutes to give us an insight. You see, we're fighting an invisible enemy in this COVID-19. Well, we've had visible enemies that we've done nothing about over the years. And I'll tell you, there's always been mosquitoes. There's always been rats. Rats carry Lassa fever. We see rats. Now, if there was a pronouncement by any scientist that says rats carry COVID-19, if you see any rats kill, I'm sure you won't see any rats again in Nigeria. Do you understand? But it's true. Everybody will go after those rats. But you see, we should use this pandemic to better plan from the federal level to the local government level. And why am I saying this? If we are now fighting, see how prepared we are fighting an invisible enemy. Now, there are enemies that have been visible with us time immemorial. I'm talking mosquitoes. I'm talking rats. We see them. So why can't we control them? In 2016, I gave a proposal on how we can control even mosquitoes. It takes a whole community to be involved, not just government. Now, if you're fighting malaria, just like they say about 300 children dying in 1 minute, those very, I feel sad when it's painful when I hear stuff like this, very preventable diseases. Now, we must understand the pest that we're going after. What is malaria? The most important thing in Africa, we should know that the female Anopheles, which is it's in sub-Saharan Africa, the Anopheles gambiae that carries that malaria parasite. They are anthropophilic in nature, meaning they've mutated. Now, you know why? If you come back in the days, mosquitoes don't stay on your walls waiting for you to come in. But now, seriously, call friends, find out, you see mosquitoes just around your windows, your door, they're waiting for you to open the door so they can get in. This is the study that even in our textbooks don't tell us that. So they're mutating. I've been on this field, I've done nothing but
become
kill.
more intelligent.
Yes, they're mutating, and that's what it is.
They're smart mosquitoes.
Yeah. So they wait, so they come inside there. So we must understand that pets first. And the flights, the anthropophilic nature is that they prefer the blood of humans to nourish their eggs as to animals. You understand?
Okay, second.
Okay.
When people have rats in their houses, they say they want to fumigate.
Okay, yeah.
That's the word we use.
Exactly, yeah.
No, but now you've told us it's the wrong word.
Yeah, you want to...
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you fumigate,
Yeah.
what happens to the rats?
Okay.
Okay, when you do that exercise, not fumigate, it's not, that's the wrong word.
Okay.
When you go through that exercise, what
Yeah.
happens to the rats in your house?
Good. Now, the rats will die. Right? If you bait a house for rats, the rats will die. And then when a rat is dead, it becomes a hazardous waste. So by right, it becomes a hazardous waste. Now, if a rat dies, it becomes hazardous because then the decomposing body, flies can perch on the decomposing body and then gives you that outbreak of the cholera we're talking about. So therefore, disposing for time immemorial, I'll say this today, and I stand challenged by anybody, that we have been carrying out practices that are wrong. Now, I was advocating this. I was on one station and I advocated that rodents that are dead, stop throwing those rodents on the road. Get a special bag and bag it. Stop putting dead rats in your dustbins because that is a hazardous waste. So the government must understand that we have a lot of stuff to do. All the stakeholders must be called in one forum to say, okay, how do we control these vermins that we see? Yes, COVID-19, we're not seeing it, and yet see the attention on COVID-19. It's fine. But what about the ones we're seeing? People are dying from malaria. People are dying from Lassa fever. So, and we know the culprits. So what robot system can we put in place?
So whether they're alive or dead, they're dangerous.
They're dangerous.
Chrissy, where Force Guard operates where and where? Just Lagos?
Yeah, in Lagos, but then we can reach out to other states if they want to. Yes, but we have our headquarters in Lagos.
Okay.
We're actually active in Oyo State. We're actually active in Abuja at the moment. But our full head office is in Lagos here.
You said that before the pandemic came in, we had the Lassa fever and all of that. That means there are a lot of things weighing and demanding services like this. As individually, we use hand sanitizers to disinfect.
Yeah, to disinfect.
To disinfect. But we might need to disinfect homes generally.
Yeah.
Is there capacity for that?
In Nigeria? Individuals must take, pest control, like I've said this so many times, pest control is a collective effort of the government and individuals. You understand? Everybody has to carry out their own responsibilities. Your responsibility is for you to actually disinfect or fumigate your house. However you want to do it. You want to call it pest control, a practitioner, or you want to do it yourself. But when you're doing it yourself, you have to ensure that there are guidelines. Just like I've said, if you kill a rat in your house, what do you do with it? It's the waste. You throw it in your dustbin. Now, don't forget that it takes about, 3-4 days before the lawnmower guys come to pick up your, the rat is already decomposing and it's hazardous. You see, that's why you need to now reach out to pest control organizations that will tell you what to do. And I'll just say this on TV for the cheapest option. If you kill a rat in your house, or you see a dead rat, you can protect yourself, pick up the rat and dig the earth, maybe like 3 feet down.
Bury it.
And bury it. Yeah, and bury it. Those are the cheapest and safest practices, because I was going to say incinerate, but the world, due to global warming and all that, incineration is frowned upon, So the cheapest option for us is to dig 3 feet, not too much, because other people will come about water table, blah, blah, So, but the safest option to protect yourself is to bury the rats.
Okay.
And I stand challenged by anybody on this.
Mr. Oluwasegun Benson, who's the Managing Director at Force Guard Fumigants Nigeria Limited. Thank you very much for coming to enlighten us this morning.
Thank you very much.
And he came along with Christine Anene, the Public Relations Manager.
Thank you.
Also at Force Guard Fumigants Nigeria Limited.
Yeah.
Well, we have been enlightened. We now know the difference between
There's no more fumigation.
No.
There's disinfect.
Thank you.
And rat baiting.
Yeah, you bait for rats. You don't. Yeah, well.
Sunrise will be
Thank
right
you,
back with
Oluwasegun.
another interesting conversation. See you shortly.